The entire stadium was waiting for a legendary baseball moment when everything suddenly changed. What was supposed to be another intense matchup between two of the biggest names in baseball quickly became a scene filled with emotion, confusion, and controversy. The cameras were already focused on Shohei Ohtani. The fans were already watching every movement. But nobody expected the attention to shift from the game itself to a heated exchange that brought both teams into the middle of the action. Within seconds, a competitive moment became a major debate. And the biggest question was simple. What caused a Yankees star to lose control against one of baseball's calmest superstars? Facing Shohei Ohtani creates a unique type of pressure. Every opponent understands that he is not an ordinary player. He is someone who can change a game instantly. One swing can erase a deficit. One mistake can become a highlight that millions of people watch around the world. That is why teams prepare differently when they face him. Pitchers study every weakness. Defenders position themselves carefully. Coaches create detailed plans. Because everyone knows that giving Ohtani even a small opportunity can be dangerous. But the challenge of facing Ohtani is not only physical. It is mental. Players know they are competing against one of the most talented athletes in baseball history. They know every decision will be analyzed. Every reaction can become a headline, and sometimes that pressure creates emotional moments. The Yankees entered this matchup with confidence. They knew they had the talent to challenge the Dodgers. They knew they had players capable of creating their own big moments. One of those players was a Yankees star known for his competitive personality, a player who brings energy, a player who does not back down, a player who believes emotion is part of what makes baseball exciting. That intensity can be a strength. It can push players to perform at their highest level. But it can also create difficult moments when emotions become too strong. And that is exactly what made this situation so dramatic. The game itself was already intense. The score was close. The pressure was building. Every pitch mattered. Every at-bat carried more importance. Then Shohei Ohtani stepped into the batter's box. Immediately, the atmosphere changed. Fans stood up. The noise increased. Cameras moved closer. Everyone understood that something important could happen. The Yankees needed a big moment. The Dodgers needed Ohtani to create one. The pitcher prepared carefully. The defense adjusted. The battle began. At first, everything looked normal. A competitive baseball matchup between two elite teams. But as the confrontation continued, the tension started increasing. A pitch. A reaction. A disagreement. A moment where emotions appeared to rise. And suddenly, the focus shifted away from the baseball itself. The Yankees star reacted strongly. The body language changed. The intensity increased. Fans immediately noticed. Players immediately noticed. And Ohtani found himself at the center of another unexpected situation. The surprising part was not that emotions appeared. Baseball has always been an emotional sport. Players dedicate their entire lives to competing at the highest level. They experience pressure that most people will never understand. Every player wants to win. Every player wants to succeed. Every player wants to protect their team. The surprising part was how quickly the moment grew. One reaction created another. One exchange created more tension. And before anyone could fully understand what was happening, players from both teams began paying attention. The dugouts became more alert. Coaches stepped closer. Everyone understood the same thing. A small argument can become something much bigger if nobody controls the situation. The cameras captured every second. Fans watching at home immediately began discussing what they saw. Some believed the Yankee star was simply showing competitive emotion. They argued that intensity is part of baseball. They believed players should be allowed to show passion. Others believed the situation crossed a line. They argued that opponents must show respect, especially when dealing with a player like Ohtani, who represents so much for the sport. The debate started immediately. Social media exploded. Different opinions spread everywhere. Some fans defended the Yankees player. Others supported Ohtani. And once again, baseball faced a familiar question. Where is the line between passion and losing control? That question has existed throughout sports history. Because emotion itself is not the problem. Emotion is what creates unforgettable moments. The problem begins when emotion affects respect. That is why situations like this are so difficult to judge. The same action can be viewed differently depending on who is watching. A competitor may see frustration. A fan may see disrespect. A teammate may see a player protecting his team. An opponent may see something completely different. But through all the tension, Ohtani's response surprised many people. Instead of immediately reacting emotionally, he remained composed. He did not allow the situation to become bigger than the game. He did not create unnecessary drama. He stayed focused. That calm approach has become one of the biggest reasons fans admire him. Ohtani understands pressure. He understands that opponents will challenge him. He understands that emotional moments are part of baseball. And he knows that controlling his own reaction is often the strongest response. However, the situation had already reached a point where both teams were paying attention. Players moved closer. Coaches tried to maintain control. The stadium atmosphere changed completely. A game that started as a battle between two talented teams had suddenly become a conversation about respect, emotions, and consequences. The cameras captured the argument. The fans created the debate. But the biggest question remained unanswered. Would MLB view this as nothing more than a heated baseball moment? Or would the league decide that the situation had crossed a line? Because when Shohei Ohtani is involved, every moment becomes bigger. And this time, everyone was waiting to see what happened next. The conversation surrounding the heated exchange between the Yankees star and Shohei Ohtani continued long after the players returned to their dugouts. What started as a competitive moment during a high-pressure game quickly became one of the biggest discussions among baseball fans. Everyone wanted answers. What exactly happened? Who crossed the line? And would MLB take action after the emotional confrontation? Those questions dominated the conversation. But inside the league office, officials understood that emotions could not decide the outcome. They needed facts. They needed evidence. They needed to understand the entire situation before making any decision. That is the challenge of handling moments like this in professional sports. Fans often see only a few seconds. Officials must examine everything. The lead-up, the reactions, the context, the intent. Because in baseball, not every emotional exchange means there was disrespect. Sometimes players simply compete with incredible intensity. Sometimes frustration appears because everyone involved cares deeply about winning. But MLB also understands that maintaining respect between players is essential. Competition creates excitement, but losing control can create problems. That balance is what makes these situations so difficult. After reviewing the available footage and reports from the officials, MLB focused on the actions of everyone involved. The league examined whether the Yankees star's reaction was simply an emotional response during a tense game or whether it crossed into unacceptable behavior. The decision created another wave of discussion. Some fans believed the Yankees player deserved consequences. They argued that opponents must understand the responsibility that comes with competing against someone like Shohei Ohtani. They believed that emotional reactions toward a global superstar receive extra attention because millions of young fans are watching. Others believed the situation was being exaggerated. They argued that baseball has always included arguments, frustration, and moments where players show emotion. They believed one intense exchange should not define a player's reputation. And that debate revealed a larger issue in modern sports. Every moment is now captured. Every reaction is replayed. Every expression is analyzed. A player's emotions that last only a few seconds can become a worldwide conversation within minutes. The Yankees star eventually addressed the situation and explained his perspective. He made it clear that the goal was never to create unnecessary conflict. Like every elite competitor, his focus was on winning and helping his team succeed. He understood why fans reacted strongly. He understood why the moment received so much attention. Because when Shohei Ohtani is involved, normal situations often become major stories. Ohtani has become one of the most influential athletes in the world. His impact extends beyond baseball. He has brought new fans to the sport and inspired millions of young players. That is why opponents know every interaction with him will be closely watched. But Ohtani's response after the confrontation once again showed why he is respected by so many people. He stayed calm. He avoided unnecessary drama. He allowed the game to continue. Instead of turning the situation into a personal battle, he focused on what he could control. That mindset has become one of the strongest parts of his identity. Ohtani understands that baseball is filled with challenges. Pitchers will attack him. Defenders will compete aggressively. Opponents will try everything possible to stop him. That is part of the game. The difference is how a player responds. And Ohtani has repeatedly shown that his response is usually controlled, professional, and focused. The Dodgers also handled the situation carefully. The team understood why fans wanted to defend their superstar. They understood why emotions were high. But they also knew that allowing one argument to become bigger than the game would not help anyone. The best teams understand that focus matters. One moment cannot define an entire season. One disagreement cannot replace the larger goal. The incident also created a bigger discussion about rivalries in Major League Baseball. Some fans believe emotional confrontations are part of what makes sports exciting. They believe rivalries need intensity. They believe players should care enough to show emotion. Others believe the game has changed and that players must be more careful because every action is visible to millions of people. Both sides have a point. Without emotion, sports lose some of their energy. Without respect, sports lose some of their meaning. The greatest competitors understand the difference. They know how to fight for victory while still respecting the person standing across from them. And that is what makes the best rivalries memorable. They are not built only on arguments. They are built on challenge. They are built on two talented players pushing each other to improve. Looking back at the Yankees and Ohtani situation, the biggest story was not only the argument itself. The biggest story was how everyone responded afterward. The Yankees star showed the passion of a competitor. Ohtani showed the composure of a leader. Both players showed the pressure that comes with performing at the highest level. And baseball fans were reminded once again why superstar matchups create so much excitement. Because the game is not only about statistics, it is about emotions. It is about personalities. It is about moments that make people stop and pay attention. The argument may have created headlines. The cameras may have captured every reaction. Fans may continue debating who was right. But the deeper lesson remains the same. Great players are not only measured by how they perform when everything goes perfectly. They are measured by how they handle difficult moments, how they respond under pressure, how they represent themselves when millions of people are watching. And once again, Shohei Ohtani showed why he has earned the respect of fans around the world. Not just because of what he does with a bat, not just because of the records he breaks, but because of the way he carries himself when the game becomes emotional. That is the end of the video. Share your thoughts on the Yankees and Ohtani confrontation. Was it simply competitive emotion, or did the situation go too far? Subscribe for more Shohei Ohtani stories, MLB rivalries, and the biggest moments from Major League Baseball.